Joshua, I can't see a thing now. I'm just walking. Okay, go on. The sun's shining too much. I'll try and get you going in the door. Can you get one of me?
Okay. How'd you feel you're at the Kennedy Library, Ma? Do you want to do some pointing up? Isn't that cool?
Now, the country is going to want to know, can this young man handle a crisis? And so the campaign decides to address that issue in a rather dramatic way by emphasizing his exploits during World War II. And the specific incident they talk about involves the fact that he was the skipper of a patrol torpedo boat, PT-109, in the Solomon Islands. And he was part of a squadron of 15 boats that were patrolling the Blackett Strait. And there were Japanese-occupied islands on both sides of that waterway. And the squadron would go out every night, and they would watch out for these the Japanese destroyers and other ships that were resupplying these islands. One particular night, they go out, it's a moonless night, you can't see any further than the end of your hand, and they have to shut off 2 of the 3 engines, and no radio, didn't have radar, so it was kind of hard to communicate with the other boats, and eventually a Japanese destroyer appeared out of nowhere, it seemed, at 2 o'clock in the morning. One of the men shouted, ship at 2 o'clock, and Kennedy immediately said, sound general quarters. And that meant, you know, we're going to try to either, first of all, avoid an attack if we can, and ideally send a torpedo that way. But there wasn't time. And the Japanese destroyer split the boat right in 2. It was overturned. They were all thrown into the water because the boat was on fire. And it was a while before they were able to get back. After the current took the far away, they get back on the hull. They're exhausted, no help in sight. Next day, Kennedy decides he can't stay here, we're sitting ducks. And so he decides we've got to swim for it. Now he's an expert swimmer, and he knows the area. And there's a tiny island, Plum Pudding Island, and he thought maybe we can get water there and something to eat. So he took McMahon, who had been in the engine room, had been very badly burned, said, forget about me. Kennedy said no. And what he did was he took the strap from the life jacket of the man, put it between his teeth, and swam 3.5 miles to that island, which took them about 4 hours. And the rest of the fellows held onto a plank and swam together. The next couple of nights he swam back into the straits, shark-infested waters, tried to find help, no luck. Finally, a couple of natives who were working with our Australian allies came by, and they found them. And they went up into a tree, brought down a coconut, and showed him, he had a jackknife, how to write a message on the coconut, which they brought back, and that's how he was rescued. So when we get to the end of the tour, almost to the end of the tour, you can see the husk of the coconut. We have it. He kept it on his desk in his office. So what the campaign did was they had copies. His story was written about in Reader's Digest in the New Yorker, and they had thousands of copies made up and distributed them. And then they had these logos made up of the PT-109, bracelets for women, tie clips for men. You wear them today. But you paid $1 for them. You're investing in his campaign. and that was a way of advertising his capabilities. By 1960, 90% of Americans had black and white TV, so Kennedy decides to challenge Vice President Nixon, the Republican running against him, to a series of debates. Nixon says yes, and so what we're going to do is go into the original debate studio, see the way it was set up, look at the video of that first debate for a minute, and then I'll talk about it. Okay? And it's a very small space, so once you get a look, maybe you can let somebody else in.
Very much in 1961, 2 or 3. And if you have heavy obligations which affect our security, which we're going to have to meet, therefore I've never suggested you should be able to retire the debt substantially or even at all in 1961
Senator, I believe in one of your speeches you suggested that reducing the interest rate would help toward...
No, not reducing the interest. Reducing the interest rate, in my judgment, the hard money, tight money policy, fiscal policy of this administration has contributed to the slowdown in our economy.
It is essential that a man who's president of this country certainly stand for every program that will mean for growth. And I stand for programs that will mean growth and progress. But it is also essential that he not allow a dollar spent.
So here we have a young man, 43 years old. If he wins, he's going to be the youngest elected president we've ever had. Teddy Roosevelt moved into the office. He was young when he was a little younger. But as far as being elected, that was JFK. Every candidate has some sort of a theme, and what JFK chose was the new frontier. You know, Roosevelt had the New Deal and so forth. And what did he mean by that? He felt that the United States under Eisenhower had been kind of stagnant, and that we were a very rich country and we could do wonderful things. And so he wanted when he talked about the new frontier, frontiers in science, frontiers in space, frontiers in conquering illiteracy, poverty, disease, not only here, but abroad. And so those are the things he's going to push. Also, he was very, very conscious of the fact that there were a lot of new African nations developing in Asia also. And these are people who hadn't had the opportunity to run their own affairs before, so they had to decide what sort of government did they want. And there was a kind of tug of war between communist nations and capitalist nations as to what kind of a society they were going to choose. So these developed nations were looking for spheres of influence in these resource-rich countries. So that was going to be part of the theme that he will address. So now, what about his campaign strategy? He's young, right? Hasn't got a lot of experience in an executive style. And he has one other limitation, that at least it's perceived to be a limitation. Is Roman Catholic, right, in a largely Anglo-Protestant country. And people don't want the Pope, even if he's Pope Francis, telling the President of the United States what to do. And so there's concern about that, and that's something he's going to address. And one of our video clips does. He does speak to a group of ministers in Houston, and he says things like, you know, when my brother and I volunteered for service during World War II, nobody asked, what is your religion? And so he sets out a very clear statement of how he can be a loyal Catholic and a dedicated president. Okay, any questions? Okay, so I'm going to kind of drag you along, and as long as you're interested, we're going to go.
Estoy segura que tu encuentro con la oración del Señor es
And a strong desire for liberty. If he hadn't left, I'd be working over at the Outdoors Company.
Perhaps for John D. Kelly?
Or perhaps the John D. Kelly.
I think it has sugar. It's feeding it sugar.
That's wonderful.
He hurt his knee, he banged it again getting into the studio, and then he had to stand at the podium. Kennedy, on the other hand, spent the day before at Palm Beach. He had a stack of index cards, Mixopedia they called them, and he was flipping off the answers to the questions, you know. So he was in good shape. When the debate was over, they took a poll, and Kennedy won 48 to 43 with 9% undecided. It's interesting that when they took a poll of people who just heard it on the radio, Nixon won. So they knew that it was going to be a very close fight, and they were very happy. They had 3 more debates to go. And so it is a very difficult campaign. So now we're going to go to the studio of Walter Cronkite on election night. Okay? What you're looking at here is a moment in time on election night when they were counting the votes. The circle number on the right, upper right-hand corner shows you the number of electoral votes each state has, the percentage, the precincts that have reported the vote count, and the check mark tells you who's won. It was a long slog of a night. And finally, Kennedy went to bed before he knew who had won. And in the morning, he woke up and his staff said, "Good morning, Mr. President." Now, he won the electoral vote, which you know is the winner-take-all system, right? If you win the plurality of votes in California, you win all 32 electoral votes. And so their campaign strategy must have been pretty good. When you look at the electoral vote, Kennedy won handily, 303 to 219, but he only won the popular vote by 118,000 votes, which is peanuts, you know. One of the interesting things that some of the historians I've read have said, during the campaign he called Dr. Martin Luther King's wife when Dr. King was unjustly put in prison on a false charge, and that word got around the African American community, and he got 2/3 of that vote. And that was a crucial vote for him to have gotten. So, any questions? Okay. Now he's going to have to write an inaugural address. He asked lots of people for input, and we're going to see him delivering it in the next gallery.
Move up another little bit.
But in your world of thought, where the strong are just, and the weak secure, and the peace preserved, all this will not be finished in the first 100 days. Nor will it be finished in the first 1,000 days. Nor in the life of this administration. Nor even perhaps in our lifetime on this planet. Watch that out of the air.
I'm going to interrupt the President because this is the Highlands tour. If you want to come back on the tour over there, they're open to 5 o'clock. Kennedy wanted this to be the shortest speech that had been given on Inauguration Day, and it was the second shortest. It was about beaten by about 83 words. It was about 15 minutes long. If you notice, the day before they had a blizzard in Washington, and it was really tough to get around. Not like here, they didn't have all the right equipment. And on that day, it was very cold, and even though most people were all bundled up, Kennedy took off his top coat and his hat, and he stood as you see him here. And perhaps he was trying to say, I may be young, but I have plenty of New England vigor. I can do this. And a couple of weeks before he gave the speech, he sent a couple of the Secret Service men over here to Dorchester to a cousin's house to get his mother's family Bible. His mother, Rose Fitzgerald Kennedy. And he wanted to take the oath of office on that Bible, which he did, and we now have it. And sometimes Kennedys do come and ask if they can inscribe the birth, the death, the baptism, or something in the front of the book. So, any questions? Okay, now we're going to move into the West Wing.
Only a few generations have advanced the goal of protecting our United States. I do not ashamed from this responsibility. I welcome it. I do not believe that any of us would exchange places with any other people or any other generation. Yet, the faith, the devotion, which we bring to this nation of us, thereby our country and all security, and the glow from that fire
This is just on, yeah? It's hard to get it all in, Josh.
Embarrassed because people were voting with their feet to move into West Berlin because it was democratic, because there were jobs, etc. And so the Russians were threatening to take over, with these Germans, to take over all of Berlin. And of course, we couldn't let that happen because we had a treaty with the people of Berlin. We promised we would protect the capital. So Kennedy decided to go to Berlin and give a talk. And it was the best received talk he ever gave. There were thousands of people there. And on this video, this has clips of his press conferences. By the way, he gave one live conference about every week and a half while he was president, and he loved doing it. I guess his staff must have had migraine headaches. So anyway, he went to Berlin, and we'll show some clips of him standing before the Berlin Wall, and he wanted to say something in German, unlike his wife, who was fluent in foreign languages. You're smiling. Is there a reason?
Just
What is it?
on what he did.
Do you want to say?
Sure.
Go ahead.
He was not fluent at all in foreign languages. But in the middle of the speech, he talked about how important it was to support Berlin.
Yeah.
And in the middle, he said, took a deep breath and said, Ich bin ein Berliner. I am a Berliner.
And lass sie la Berlin kommen. Lass sie la Berlin kommen. Let them come to Berlin.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he had that written out phonetically on a card. And the card is here. And I I'm going to risk losing you, but what I'm going to do is just walk around here into the next gallery, okay? So you can walk by and see this, but I'm going to keep moving. So that's the card. And there's a point on the video where you can see him put the card back in his pocket because all the Germans go, yay!
This one.
That's it.
The idea was that the conference had passed into history and that we never have a chance to ask that question, but as long as it hasn't, I would, when we talk about corporal punishment, we have to think of our own children, and the rather reluctant seems to be to have other people administering punishment to our own children. But because we are reluctant to do so, it seems to me to be a special obligation on us to send children up from our home who are accept the idea of discipline. So that I would like to see that in the school, but I would be for very strong discipline at home, so that there's no place like that for our teachers.
Yeah, I think it's his brother-in-law.
And therefore, as we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest event
President
on which
Kennedy
man has ever
wanted
embarked.
to have a really spectacular way to say to the world, to these new developing nations, come with us. We are a free society. And if you choose our way of life and our form of government, you can have a very rich, resource-filled society like we do. And the space race turned out to be one of those ways that he was able to address that issue. This is on loan to us for a short time. This is the actual space capsule that Alan Shepard took. The first man up in space, this is the capsule he went up in. Astronauts could not be the original 7 of air. They couldn't be taller than 5'11". Shepard just made it. He was 5'11". And he had to get into this suit with 25 pounds of gear. They wanted to test all his systems, pulmonary, respiratory, etc., because they wanted to see how a man could function in space and how they could get him back safely. There's a cover of Time magazine here showing Yuri Gagarin, the first Russian who went up in space. What was different about that, even though he orbited the Earth, it was a very impressive feat. He just basically sat in the capsule, and you know, it was done mechanically, digitally, technically, whatever you want to call it, I'm not sure. And they kept it a secret until they were sure it was over as a success. And then they kind of made him a museum piece. He never went up again. On the contrary, this was on television. He only went up for 15 minutes into space, didn't orbit the Earth. And he had 72 in that space of 15 minutes, 72 different maneuvers that he had to do. These guys were test pilots. I mean, they didn't want to sit in a capsule and do nothing. That was beneath them. So that's why they convinced the people who were planning the mission that they ought to have something to do. And so Kennedy used this huge success to go to the American people and say, you know, why do we climb a mountain? Because it's there. We can go to the moon. And he felt that this would be a spectacular feat that would be very impressive to all these newly born countries. The other thing, of course, it didn't happen until the late 60s, but he's given credit for really mobilizing the country to accomplish that. Any other questions? He also, of course, to date, we've sent 200,000 people abroad in the Peace Corps. 200,000 mostly Americans who've gone over to other parts of the world in order to share their expertise as agronomists, lawyers, teachers, doctors, whatever. And some of them, I was here for a reunion one night, and there were 200 of them, and they said they got more out of the experience than they felt they gave. It was a nice thing to hear. Okay, we're going to move on. gathered here. Jack, the president of South Carolina says to me Ambassador to Japan. She decided for the 50th anniversary of presidency that Vermont had done a series of interviews, 8 hours of interviews in 1964.
It's time for Tibet.
In the last 24 hours, we have seen facilities now being created for the greatest and most complex exploration in man's history. We have felt the ground shake and the air shattered by the testing of a satellite, seen one close to rocket, many times as powerful as the atlas which rules human race.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah, I got that.
Advisors, and they took their time figuring out all the options that they had to prevent missiles from actually being put on Cuban soil.
That's what we said in the moment. No, I actually know more than everything was said.
That's right.
You see that other guy? These are all of his, this is his, yeah.
But he does the stuff I do, doesn't he?
Yeah, decision, and all that. And he's trying to make up his mind of what to do. But yeah, he does do the scribbly dudes, yeah.
A lot of these other things are gifts from different
Nations and stuff.
nations. Reminds me of those things, just little things. Good job.
It was really the happiest time of my life. It was when we were the closest. We didn't really have physical closeness. You know what they say, the old lady, it was only the other day. It was attention. I used to think you were giving me the White House.
I like this better.
I was never really different.
Mom, I like this one.
But the president did send me everything.
That's a good one. This is his brother's desk at his brother's office. Generation.
You look very presidential. Oh, thank you.
Even though this is his brother's office. This is the president's office. Ooh, this is a good job.
Live in America because his skin is dark. Cannot eat lunch in a restaurant open to the public. If he cannot send his children to the best public school available. If he cannot vote.
Down t-shirts, I can see.
If in short he cannot enjoy the full and free life all of us want, then who among us would be content to have the color of his skin changed and stand in his place? Who among us would then be content with the counsels of patience and delay? 100 years of delay have passed. President Lincoln freed the slaves, their heirs, their grandsons, are not fully free. They are not yet free from bond and justice. They are yet free from social.
Josh?
Hang on.
Mrs. Kennedy has been showing us about the White House and all the changes that she's made therein. What do you think of the changes?
Could go either way.
Here on Earth, there's been some contributions to her.
I don't think that we've been putting enough of our resources into the fight against poverty in the very last few years. The reason that
So yeah, give me a hand. That's right.
Who has really put my national interest ahead of his or her own career.
The fact they persevered, they took the risk they did, is something that the award wants to recognize and really provide an example to other people in the office to do.
We gave out the first award around 1990. My mother was there, and my brother and I served on the committee throughout the early years, as well as my Uncle Teddy. So it's really been a family project.
This award recognizing his life, it's one of the things that we really wanted to make sure happened, not having focus exclusively on being November, but really be about the lasting and life contribution. There are many kinds of courage, raising and crying,
Okay. There we go. What we got? We're gonna be.
That's Walter Cronkite.
What's the Cronkite?
Cronkite, yeah.
Yeah.
Johnson.
News of the Vic.
In Dallas, we do not know to where he is.
Oh, yeah, this is in England. Yeah, it's in, No, I got it.
we're happy to be back here.
So you see that Mercury capsule?
This is physicist.
Did you go in there?
I mean, I don't think, no. I don't think physicists.
honoring that
same
quality in
film.
elected officials today would be a wonderful way of keeping his memory alive. So we founded the pro.
But then it remembers.
So every year around.
Membership. Join now. I'm gonna get one of these.
Don't you think about that?
What I believe the times require imagination and courage and perseverance.
Now.
Which side do you think the train's coming? I reckon that side.
Move up a bit so I can see the jam a little bit. Okay, come back a bit. I can't get it all in. Okay, smile again. No, you're in. Come back. I said smile again. Don't step out. Here. Now, Joshua.
Yes, country woman.
Just for a second.
That's the departed police department. Remember the police?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Oh yeah.
You get it. No? Pretty good.
There's.
Yeah, I got it.
Probably don't have.
I know. But I'm just filming it. Okay, hang on. Yeah, it's in around seconds there.
Get patios.
Okay.
Where's Marshall?
I already have my home. This is
That street.
this is where he was driving down. This is where he was driving down. No, down there. Well, look at the futuristic car. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I'll get alongside there.
That's tough. We can't get it written. Get up here. Where do you want to be?
Yeah. Okay.
You can walk down as far as here, get stuck in the park.
Yeah, I know. Hang on. Yeah, okay. Gonna yeah. Yeah.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Any more? 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Like, I mean, the thing was, like, it was like, most volumes of money were watching the news, like, the other stuff.
Well, and that the Irish, like, I'm Irish American, but it's many generations back. Look at their family, and then we become that generation. Yeah. So it's really like
Sorry. Yeah, I got it. Oh yeah.
There's lots of brown stuff, isn't there? Lots of stuff into that.
You know, we can go in this. Last night someone came in here. Downtown. Apparently this was designed by a Jewish guy.
That's his son.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he was on the throne.
And it's his birthday as well.
At the
Funeral, yeah. And it's his birthday as well.
Oh, it's still going.
Yeah, just stop.
Okay, well, look at me. I keep.
Is low. Are you firmly pressing it?
Oh, my finger got in the way. Sorry, do it again.
Finger. Okay.
Okay, go. Okay. Now.
Oh yeah. What was the other one?
Okay, walk up around here. From there, around, so I can get the front.
Okay.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Okay, look, it's beautiful. Get the Christmas trees on the
downtown, we don't get a lot of foot traffic. It's more people coming in for appointments or like when there's something going downtown. That's when it's a lot of people. But normally it's just not like only in the mall. I used to have a lot of people coming in. We don't have it so much. Because I'm not even from.
think of that picture of him?
Sad.
Hello?